So I remember being broken up with, and it's such a shitty feeling, especially if you're not expecting it. So if you're on the receiving end of a breakup and you're just fresh out of one, I hope these tips today will help you kind of process your emotions and, be on your way to a speedy recovery. When you're on the receiving end, you don't have the prep time. The person who's done the breaking up probably has time to process their emotions, to mentally prepare themselves for the breakup and for the conversation that they're going to have with you. But when you're on the receiving end, it's kind of like a shock. And regardless of whether you've been together for 3, 6, 9 months, your feelings are valid because you invested in someone, you invested in the relationship emotionally. So if you're feeling like crap, it's totally fine, and it will get better at some point if you let it. So here are a couple of tips to help you cope with a breakup, especially if you're fresh out of one. So number one is process your emotions. A lot of strong, independent women I speak to often come out of a breakup and they feel like they have to get over a breakup in a certain amount of time. But emotions aren't logic. You can't just set yourself a deadline like you would at work or for a project. Everyone has their own time to heal. So, if you're feeling sad, just absorb it and don't feel like, don't deny yourself of those feelings because you don't want to feel judged or you see it as a sign of weakness. Because if you don't process with these emotions, in your love life, they will manifest and they'll turn up somewhere else. So, feel it. Whatever it is you're feeling, just feel it and embrace it. If you need to have a little cry, go ahead and do it. Number 2 is, cut your triggers. So there are things that we do that remind us of the people we love. And when they're no longer in our lives, those things can still, trigger our memories with them. And, it's fine to process your emotion and feel sad, but, it's another thing to go and look for those things that will make you sad. So the best thing to do here is break your patterns. If you know that you always go to cafe on Saturday with this person, or, you guys listen to a certain playlist in the car, switch it up, do something else. That way you're not constantly reminded of the things that you used to have. And, it'll kind of eliminate that feeling of loss, especially when you're doing those things. You're going on to lunch on a Saturday, or you're going to a car and listening to music. Number 3 is self-care. When we're feeling down, I think a lot of us can neglect our physical needs, and this is just the basic stuff I'm talking about. We may not have an appetite because we're upset and we're grieving, but it's important that you still have to look after yourself. You owe it to your body to heal itself. And so don't forget to eat. Don't forget to eat, and if you've been crying, go get a facial or get a face mask. Don't neglect that because you owe it to yourself. Number 4 is don't fantasize the relationship. Now, the saying goes, we always want what we don't. We always want what we don't have. And, when we don't have the relationship that we want, when it ends, we always think about the good things. Like, oh, I really miss the way he would, pick me up from work. Or I really miss the way he just randomly surprised me with gifts. But, we focus so much on the good things that we forget that there was another side of the relationship that, kind of didn't make it all so great. And I'm not telling you to think of the negative things. I'm just putting into perspective that, in every relationship there's good and bad. So when you're reminiscing and you're thinking about the relationship, just don't just think about the good things. Think about, the not good things as well. The idea is that you don't put the relationship on a pedestal, or you don't fantasize about it because it wasn't perfect. And number 5 is, take your time. Don't feel like you're rushed back into dating. So this happens a lot, especially with women in their late 20s or 30s, or women who just, have to be in a relationship. They get out of one and then they're all of a sudden rushed into getting another because they feel like they're running out of time, or they feel like, they have to get back at their ex, or, they just feel like they need to be with someone else. So don't rush, because if you're rushing and you're not ready and you haven't dealt with the the pain of this breakup, it will turn up in your other relationships. You know, you're likely to punish your future boyfriend for something that your ex did, or you may not attract the best partners because you haven't figured out and reflected, you know, what went wrong in the previous relationship. And I'm not saying, you know, what went wrong with your ex, but you know, it takes two people determine the outcome of a relationship. So at some point you would have contributed to, you know, the fallout as well. So without getting the chance to reflect back on your relationship and to really heal, it's really hard for you to move on and start fresh with someone else. So I hope these tips will help you. I know breakups aren't easy. I really do, especially as you get older. But you know, in time, it really gets easier. I promise. At the time, you feel like it's the end of your world, and you don't know what you're gonna do. You don't know how you're gonna meet people. The thought of like starting from square one really scares you. But you know, in time it gets better, and if you put in the work and do the inner work and reflect, you come out a better version of yourself. I promise. So if you want to do some more work and reflect on, you know, the roadblocks keeping you from attracting your person and a healthy relationship, I've got a mini course to help you do that. So I'll leave a link below. Download it, and you can email me if you thought this video was helpful and want more tips of dealing with breakups. You can leave a comment, subscribe, so that you don't miss another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.